Time is the most valuable resource on earth. It cannot be replenished. You cannot get it back once it's gone. We only have 24 hours in a day. We've all heard the saying, if only I had 48 hours in a day. The truth is, if we do not effectively know how to manage the 24 hours we've been blessed by God with, we will go through 48 hours and still complain on the need for more hours. Those who have mastered the art of time management are those who've learned to truly maximize the time that have been given to them. By maximizing time on a daily basis, the rewards are seen over a long period of time. The question we all ask ourselves is, how do the wealthy or even those who are successful do it? They also have the same 24 hours. If so, what are they doing that I'm not doing? My name is Arthur Oreke, and I'm a technologist, having over 15 years of consulting experience. I've worked on projects as an individual contributor. I've also worked in teams as a member of the team, as well as playing the role of team lead. I've worked on projects for Fortune 500 companies, and one feedback or remark I've heard a lot from my fellow colleagues, team members, and even project managers is, how on earth is it that all your projects are completed on time, within budget, and yet the customer is impressed? Well, my time management series is geared to help you become the super consultant. That will help make you the envy of your colleagues and make you relevant to your client and for all your projects. Now, even if you're not a consultant, these time management series will also help you make you even a lot more productive. This is the second of the time management series, and today I'm going to be discussing how to recover from task switching. We've all been there. For me, as a consultant, there were times in the past when I was so lost in brainstorming or coding, and then an interruption kicks in. Now, not to say I do not welcome interruptions, but it's just the thought of getting back to the task with which you were interrupted that's not fun. It does take a while to remember where you were, and then it's another thing to get ramped back up to continue where you left off. It's time-consuming and mentally draining. Now, depending on the nature of the switch, in times past, it could take me about a couple of days to fully get back into the swing of the task in which I had to switch from. Now, when one is constantly pulled from a task over and over again, it could cause mental fatigue and mental drain. Now, I'm sure you're asking yourself, what is task switching? By definition, it's basically the ability to unconsciously shift attention between one task and another. We've all been there. Your cell phone or computer chimes to signal the arrival of another email or breaking news. You pause during a meeting to look at your phone. Or a manager walks right in while you're lost combing through thousands of rows of data, while trying to identify and analyze the data set, and he informs you of the need to shift gears and move over and start working on a brand new task that has now become a top priority for the department. Or a coworker walks right in and informs you while you're in the middle of a brainstorming session that they need your assistance. You get the point. Overall, task switching is not fun. On the surface, task switching gives the impression that one is multitasking by switching in between tasks and getting more done in the day. However, in my opinion, multitasking is not 100% efficient. Matter of fact, there is a cost associated with having to switch in between tasks. This cost may not at first seem or appear to be much, but the compounding effect of each additional task switched does add up over a long period of time. It causes a reduction in productivity and mental drain. Now, task switching could occur while you're trying to perform two tasks at the same time. An example of that is you trying to respond or send a response to an email while being on a webinar. Or you're conducting a meeting, talking to stakeholders while taking notes at the same time. Or it could happen when you're trying to perform one or many tasks back to back to back. Or it could also happen when you're in the middle of performing a task, when you get interrupted and you're pulled from performing one task without completing it to another task. In all, it feels like shifting gears. It involves a lot of mental juggling as the mind moves to adjust. I do believe that task switching not only wastes time, it leads to increase in errors. It causes fatigue, it's exhaustive, and it causes lots of mental agitation. Well, That used to be me back in the day, but I've since learned a couple of ways by which to more effectively shift between tasks. Right now, I've highlighted 4 ways to help you to reduce the painful effects so that you could be more productive. I'm about to share the secrets that I've learned over time and which I've applied in my life, and it's helped me become a super consultant. The first of the 4 ways is be deliberate and efficient with your time. You've got to be able to identify what tasks you should be working on. Identifying redundant tasks that you should not work on. And basically, outsource the redundant tasks. We'll learn a little bit more about this in the next video. Second, you need to also as part of being efficient with your time, try to rely on hour blocks. What do I mean by hour blocks? If you did listen to the first series where we talked about the sense of urgency, by identifying each hour and maximizing each hour, it could help you to be more efficient overall with your time. Because now you've time boxed it. Each hour you know what you're meant to be working on within that hour and try to complete all you need to do within the hour. Also, learn to use your voicemail. We'll learn a lot more about more efficiencies you could get into when we talk a lot more about maximizing your time, which is going to be another video. In addition to this, you need to identify when you're most productive. Are you a morning person or are you a night person? For me, I find myself to be a morning person, and as a result, I tend to work on my most important tasks first thing in the morning. I get to work early in the morning, around 6 or 7, and I work on most complex and most important tasks at that point in time when I am most productive. Second of all, you need to learn how to bookmark. By bookmarking, it's the same concept like checkpointing in a game, where you make a mental note of where you're leaving off on the uncompleted task before you jump on to the next task. If you're a visual person, I recommend writing down in a note or, in OneNote or some kind of an app to keep track of what you're doing. You make a note of the task, where you were when you were trying to complete that task before you jump onto the next task, before you got interrupted. For example, I was in the middle of analyzing the data on Excel Sheet 1, and I was planning to review additional information regarding the sales numbers I had already highlighted. Another example is I was in the middle of debugging my code and was on line 32. And I was planning to swap out the method with a new method called next. Finally, I'd like to recommend to reduce the amount of mental agitation or exhaustion, learn to know how to space out. What do I mean by spacing out? I just mean stop thinking about the problem. Just stop thinking about it. Go off and make preparations or plan your day where you have time blocks in your day where you're not doing anything at all. And by doing nothing, you're just remaining quiet. You're not reading, you're not writing, you're not doing anything of the sort. You could be walking, you could be working out, you could be listening to music, or just staring at the wall or staring out the window. I find myself doing that a lot. Another thing you could do is you could go out to the garden and plant. I find it to be very therapeutic, and I tend to do that often. But the more you do that, the more you welcome yourself, and your mind will eventually find the solution to the problem by which you are trying to solve. These are just a few ways to try to reduce the mental agitation involved with task switching. Like I said before, this is the second of our series. And if you like what you've learned today and you want to apply it in your life, I welcome you. Take it on as a challenge. They say habit forms after 21 days. Go ahead. Start applying this on a daily basis for the next 21 days. and you soon will be on your way to be more productive with your time. If you like this video, go ahead and like our video and feel free to subscribe. That way you could always stay abreast with all the updates and upcoming videos that we have coming in store for you. Alright, thank you. Stay blessed and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.